Nah, ini detectable channel stop kontak. 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 Nah, ini detectable channel stop kontak.
G kasih. Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, terima kasih banyak. Ada orang yang lain joinnya? No, not just the two of us. Okay. Ari, okay. Because there are so many names the last 2 days, I can't recall all. Okay, this is okay if I call you Ari, yeah? Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this one, okay. Isna, ya, saya tahu Isna, ya. I met him many times in Germany and in Bandung, ITB. Yeah, because we have a cooperation with ITB since more than 30 years. And I was in charge for the student exchange program, but in the recent years it's all got a little bit more quiet because we don't get funding for the program, and it's always depending on individual contact. But because Isna is a free fine art um, lecturer and I'm a designer, so our connection is not like not matching. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know Didin? Didin. Yeah, he's more close. I know him since 2006. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff together, and he's also part of the Yayasan of the museum. Yeah, he's also part of the team. Mantap. All good. Yeah. Since 1960. Yeah. We just had a delegation there 3 months ago for celebrating the 60th anniversary because due to COVID we had to postpone it. Okay. Okay. For sure. But that is sometimes it depends on showing because some of the environments are just heavy and we always struggle with the phone. But I must see if it works. Maybe in the first frame. Yeah, I do. Do they have? Bisa.
Wabarakatuh. Namo Buddhaya.
Pada pagi hari ini,
Namo Buddhaya.
pada pagi kita,
Saya Aditya Ramadan dan harmoni pada kuliah umum hari ini.
sebelum
Kuliah umum hari ini.
sebelum acara dimulai, izinkan kami untuk membacakan susunan.
Nancy.
Izinkan kami untuk membacakan susunan
Nancy.
umum acara ini.
Good morning, sir. I'm very sorry, maybe my language English not. I'm very sorry, maybe my language English not very good, but I will to try. First of all, I would like to thank Prof. Ekwan from Germany, and thanks to Pak Hari, kemudian Pak Wisesa, Pak Sugiarso, dan semua kawan-kawanku semua. Ya, I think today is an extraordinary day with the present with Prof. Ekwan as a speaker at this Adjunct Professor event. Yeah. As the head of the Fine Art Education Study Program, I would like to thank you for your willingness to be speaker at this event. I'm very sure, yeah, that the material you will be present later will be provided art education study program. I hope this is not only you first and last. I hope we can to make implementation agreement. Satu profesor multimedia di dunia. Beri aplaus buat beliau. Ya. Saya pikir ini sebuah experience, pengalaman dalam akademik yang cukup menarik ya, yang bisa akan disampaikan. Tak lupa saya mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada Ibu beliau yang luar biasa, yaitu mengatakan tentang museum. Bagaimana beliau bisa mengcombine dalam museum dunia maya. Ya.
Kami persilahkan.
Bisa googling saja, sangat luas pengalaman ya, dan juga pencapaiannya dalam berkarya seni.
Always the discussion about higher, faster, bigger, more budget, more money involved. So far, after 30 years of teaching and working, I sometimes look back to the analog techniques and try to include them much more, because when I see AI and all the developments that are just a mix of what existing, actually fed by algorithms to the computers, so where's the individual human? Where's the individual creative person? And I have seen a lot of different tools, multimedia developments. One of my basic foundational aspects, when I was a student, there was no multimedia. There were computer animation, there were desktop publishing just established. We had one computer for 30 students, and we had night shifts. Sometimes I worked from 2 to 3 in the night because I was given just 1 hour. We sometimes slept at the campus to be able to have access to one computer. And finally, I bought one computer to make my graduation on it, and I had a second one at the university. And I took both computers and always walking between home and university to get the next rendering done. So when the machine was busy, I walked back home, 15 minutes, checked what my computer at home has rendered, and then started a new rendering at home and back went to university. And that was ongoing for weeks for the production of 8.5 minutes film that I was preparing with this limited equipment. So you see, it's possible, and it's a lot of fun, because this way designers are able to develop design hacks, how to navigate around the limitations of technology. And that is something I think is a very good inspiration. Okay, coming back to my actual topic, as I worked also with CD-ROM and the internet and web design, video mapping, serious games, game development with the Unreal Engine. The last 5 years I was working in VR experiences, developing
with my students, small 5 minutes experiences with VR glasses. Play, please. Oh yeah, okay. The beam is off, okay. And that's the difference in production, because you always find it hard to compress your data to a limit that is possible to get it displayed in the internet. Because what you see here is not coming from a hard drive, it's coming from the web. It's running in a web browser. It's now a rocket science, as you can see. This is the address. And I will show you a little bit what we have seen yesterday in my presentation, because I think half of you or 2/3 of the audience were not attending yesterday. So I give you a short overview about our museum project, Museo Maya Indonesia, MUMAIN, as the abbreviation MUMAIN is also like you can also take it as kamu, mine, or do you want to play? So it's a double meaning in the word somehow. If you see it a little bit more from a students like you, access to cultural heritage in Indonesia. That's our idea. The idea, I was born just by looking at myself, what do I want to do in my retirement? I will retire next year. So talking about collaboration, we have to find a way, because I will move back to Indonesia. I come to Indonesia since 18 years, because we also have a cooperation with ITB since more than 30 years. As Pak Ari already said, that we have a sister town ship, just Bandung in Braunschweig, sister town. So I was quite often here in Bandung. 18, a step out from university and trying to establish a multimedia, not a multimedia, but a social media marketing and management agency there. It was difficult as an expat to set up a small entrepreneurship company in Indonesia, so I had to face the reality and went back after 4 years for teaching at my campus, but still kept my house. So I will retire next year and move back to Indonesia, and this is one of my projects that I want to focus on. Beside that, I'm also running a student exchange program for German, European, American students with Easy Den Pasar, but it's just for them study program, which is not in bidirectional. It's just bringing students to Bali. So this is just a little bit the background. And when I thought what I would want to do in my retirement, I like traveling. And when I was a small child, I was always interested in history. Whether it's the local history, whether it was the Romans, whether the Greek history, the Egyptian history. Of course, at that time, I didn't know about Indonesia, and I know we did not have the internet, and we looking for a lexica for getting some information, or I had to talk to my history teacher and asking, where can I get more information? He came back, give me a magazine. Oh, wow, it was a scientific magazine. Me, in the age of 12, hardly understand anything what the people were talking about. But history was always a motivation for me to travel. And because I was joining the Boy Scouts, well, talking a little bit of my life, for 10 years, I traveled all over Europe, even as a teenager and twin, and I've seen a lot of different cultures, experienced other languages, other habits, other cultural heritage, and that was always the source for coming up with new ideas. Actually, what disruption of what we live in the permanent situation, if you always sit at your desktop, how you can get new ideas? You need inspiration. Where do you get that? Traveling. Traveling is really something that helps getting you out of your context, getting new ideas. So I said, okay, I love traveling. I like to explore more about Indonesia. Even I've been living here or commuting back and forth 18 years, I haven't seen maybe a few percentage. Someone, a Cypriot friend told me once, it takes 2.5 lifetimes to visit all major islands in Indonesia. I said, oh my God, I think I have to hurry. I can't make this. But I was just last week in Nias, first time. Wow, what an interesting story. I was in the museum, I was on a field trip, I visited some villages, kampung. They still live in the old houses. And I was always introduced to the elderly people. They hold in my hand, they tell me the story and what they have in mind to preserve the culture. I was at the Nias Heritage Museum. Interesting story, interesting the building and everything behind it, and we have now a cooperation with them for our museum project. So this is just an example, going back, not looking always forward, because if you want to determine your future, you have to know where you're coming from. And cultural heritage actually is the source of much more. And I think it's very important for education, that was my speech about yesterday, that due to cultural heritage, young people get an understanding of where they come from, for their self, for their community, for other people, experience what it means to respect another group of people with another identity, because cultural heritage is identity building. And Indonesia is so rich of cultures. Do you know how many ethnic tribes exist in Indonesia? It's more than 1,300. And do you know how many languages are spoken in your country? A little more than 700. I mean, this is the largest amount of languages and ethnics in one country. And that's your foundation. And I did some research about scientific research about what's taught at school in history, what you find in history books. It's rather limited from my observation what you find about your own roots. I mean, a tree can only grow with roots. So think about, where do you come from? Most of the history is told about the occupation by the Dutch, the colonialism, and all the other things. This is actually maybe a bad experience it was for Indonesia. You have not witnessed this, but it's still somehow in the DNA of the people. Especially, I find it sometimes difficult to trust. Opportunism is a strategy to survive. That's very helpful in certain situations, like in war times or occupation times. But trust is actually the social fuel to connect people together. And trust means that the word of today has a value for tomorrow. That you not always switch the opinion just what is better for you. And all these things create identity. And learning from the past, learning from other cultures, is actually what small kids are interested in. They are quite eager, and they put a lot of questions to grandma, grandpa. Can you tell me about how it was when you were a child, and how was life in living? Can you tell me about how people go out for fishing or doing this or survive in the countryside? And they have so many questions, and they need answers. Where can they find them? Sometimes they were just sent to school and they have to learn all the same stuff. But everyone is different. And you are in university and education helping kids to identify themselves, building up an identity, and getting answers for the question that they intrinsically have. Because everyone wants to know who he is and embedded in what culture. And so I think that would be a meaningful project to deliver. So we are just at the start. My colleague, Professor Ulrich Planck, Ulrich Martin Planck, his full name, but everyone calls it Pak Uli. So, and his wife, Dr. Eka Noviana from Itenas, the three of us, we know each other for a long time. Uli and I, we are colleagues now then 25 years, but I know him already from my study. He was a lecturer, not a professor, when I was a student. And so we said, why don't we set up this kind of retirement startup? We as seniors becoming entrepreneurs again with this technology, and we building bridge to the past. Because we like Indonesia, and I want to spend more time traveling around and bringing more content in such a project like the museum. So this is a little long introduction, but maybe then you understand a little bit better what it's all about. Because this is not just a fancy thing because VR is a buzzword and everybody needs to have a piece of metaverse. So from my background as a multimedia director, I'm always thinking, what can we do which is better than a book or a movie? Interactive media gives us a bigger immersive feeling to dive into a simulation which gets as close as possible to reality. At the same time, it's also preserving artifacts which might be destroyed by pollution or age or other factors. Okay, So far for the introduction. Now let's have a quick look in the museum. We don't have a microphone stand, right? Because I just realized yesterday I had a mic stand and I need 2 hands to navigate. Haha. There's always some things. Okay. I hope it works. Yeah, please get close. Don't be afraid. But I need both hands, otherwise I cannot navigate. So actually here we see the main hall of our museum. Actually, I used it yesterday for a short introduction of some things that we have quickly decorated, and it was another kind of introduction, what is identity, etc. And you can navigate and you get always some information back, and we don't have a microphone, we don't have the audio line in here, so I cut the audio for today. But what we can do is see here is a map, what I was talking about the ethnic groups, how many ethnic groups we have here, and you wonder, I'm navigating, who am I? Even here I have an identity because this is my avatar, and you see me here standing in front, and I can walk and I can go sideways, I can go closer to the content, I click on content, I can open other links, and I can also go back. Hope I get to the right one. Oh, I got in the wrong one. Okay. That's because I opened the full screen view. Let's go back here and this way. Okay. Yeah, you need to know how to navigate. It needs some choreography once in a while. It's not a PowerPoint presentation. So you see, well, while I'm talking, have also focus where I'm going and what I show you. But that is a living environment which I can also use and switch on my webcam. If it's working, maybe because I have to, I think I lost the connection because I loaded this too early. So let us just reload the frame while I'm continuing to talk. We can have presentation within the virtual space, and it's actually like a Zoom a Zoom environment. You see 300 spots left, so actually we can meet here 300 people all together. We do this little thing in a few minutes after I introduce the museum to you quickly, and now it should work. Let's go down and see. I can share my webcam. So here we are, you see me, and of course I can also put this up, and because we don't have an extra camera today here like yesterday, so even I can speak to you with this screen, and I can also invite other friends, and we have like a Zoom call. We can also share the screen and show other stuff. There's probably an ancient, this is a video clip from the NIAS I just found in the internet. So actually we can have multiple screens at the site, at the same site, and here can another colleague join or share his screen, and we can have discussions in here. And let me switch to the other scene, because in this software we also have different scenes. Now we're in a different setting, as we had a press conference a few weeks ago here with a great gallery in Bandung. And of course I can also said, okay, I want to sit down. Now I'm sitting on a chair and listen to the conversation. There are some student works of my colleague Eka Noviana. They had recently just done an exhibition here in Bandung at the Great Gallery. Ocean Madness is one project, and you can use your camera also to open up augmented reality things. I think, yeah, let's go there, and I think this is the explanation what the exhibition was all about. We can zoom in, and you can read this, the Great Ocean Stories 2024, testing the waters. So that was, we used our museum as a space for a temporary exhibition within. So that was also a big premiere for us, for the three of us, because Eka did this with her students at ITENAS. But what you see here is how we started with the museum, where you have here some introduction, and of course you can always switch from third person to first person. So actually that's our philosophy, what we were thinking about. That is our virtual I am, we call it, because I got this one here on my shirt from a batik stamp, and I thought that was lying around in my art in my house in Tangerang maybe for 5 years, and I said one day I will do something with this animal. It inspires me. It gives me. It could be a creature with VR glasses on or something. Just the inspiration from the past. It's not virtually done. I put it in a new context, and of course, if you cannot read English, we provide the information also in Bahasa. No problem. So in the future, we also will have buttons here, what I cannot demonstrate here because we don't have the audio connected here, that you can also, if the kids are not able to read or write, they just push a button and can choose whether they want to hear it in English, in Bahasa Indonesia, or in Bahasa Chinese. So that people have the opportunity to follow along even they are not aware, and make it more easier because reading, yeah, people have an attention span sometimes minus 5 minutes. Oops, I clicked on something. I think that was not, that happens when you're not focusing. And now we go to the North Hall anyway. Okay, that was not yet meant to happen, but here we can see a little documentary done with some students about the Tarawangsa music. And actually, let me see, we hear a little bit. So if you put the microphone closer, I think it's not working that well. Maybe you can put it in here. I don't know if you hear anything. I'll make it louder in here. Anyway, here we see some trials also about the design. How about the typography in a virtual space? How large must it be? Is this really enough? Can you read it properly? Well, it looks a little bit like, TikTok. Maybe you have to think about what kind of design language are you speaking in a virtual environment as opposed to sufficient to read? Because if I look at my avatar, which sometimes I can change also the look of the avatar, this time I have just this kind of robot look, and if I would look up from his perspective, that's hard to read. See, it's like in a real museum. You have to consider what can we do to help the people from their perspective. Eye level is always 160. That's a standard, and it's also a standard in a real exhibition. That say 160 line is the line where from above and below should be the perfect space to display information. But as you see at the virtual thing, I said, folks, please don't put the typography under the ceiling. It's too high, because this is 8 meters in high, and the avatar is like 160, 170. So you have to consider, okay, maybe I can click on it, okay, but then, oh my God, I need to zoom in to read anything. See, this is not sufficient layout for this kind of display. It maybe looks nice as a poster, but you always have to calculate, okay, think in chunks. How can we make information accessible in a meaningful way that it's not confusing for the people, right? And also, if you have some instruments here, that you see this music instrument, and as you see, it's not a 3D object. No, it's just cut out of a 2D image, but the imagination, it can be displayed like this. Maybe you can go closer. Okay, that's a little bit pixelized. I would have expected to have higher resolution. So one of the converting factors I found out which works very well is resolution. So I said 1 millimeter is 1 pixel. So that means if the room is 8 meters in height, and you want to have a poster going from top to ground, it will be 8,000 pixels. Ooh, what about data? Yeah, how to deal with this? I will show this a little later, because I found out that, and that's kind of a design hack, you can compress large images really strongly, because if you're further away, these pixels are compressed to a smaller space and still give a sharpness. But if you get close, you don't want to see pixel. Let me see if I go here. Well, we hadn't discussed this with the student at that time, but if you go closer to this one, you see already that the font in here is pixelized and not, maybe on the beamer it's hard to see, but maybe there's some other examples. Yeah, I think here you see this text is already, on the beamer it always looks better than on my display, it's not. The anti-aliasing here on the big screen, anti-aliasing, you know what it is missing as a pixelized font. And so I was always interested to deliver good quality because we will want to set standards. Okay, that was a side hall here. And we have spatial sound, though the sound is also getting lower in volume when you go further away. And we going back to the main hall, but I have to switch to, is it still setting on? Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. So what else we do have in here, it's not only two-dimensional objects, no, we also have three-dimensional objects like these sculptures from Sumba. They are enlarged, almost like factor 10. The real scale is about here. It's about 20 centimeters per figure. But I wanted to give it a try to see, well, if we have digitized it, we can use it a little more often. And because there are so many details to see, that you need to get closer. It would be better to pick an object in your hands and move it around. With another software you can do it, but not in this software. So you have to maybe think about it, okay, we put a small figure on the base to say this is the original size. Well, this is an enlargement, but that allows you, without zooming and in and out, and so go closer to it, because you can also switch to first person, so you don't have see your avatar, and then you can get as close as possible and see the details of the figure, and even see the holes and everything. So this is our recorded with photogrammetry. Uli Blank was yesterday given a speech about the limitations, and even it was a little bit technical, I have to admit, when I saw it. We have to think about how we can improve this kind of presentation, but these technical terms determine the quality, how accurate data are scientifically, and on the same side, how to compress them to make it possible to display them. If you go to Sketchfab, I don't know, do you know Sketchfab? Some of you maybe? A library for 3D assets? Yeah. So there you find also a lot of 3D models, but also photogrammetry recorded objects. And when you download them and trying to load them in such an environment, usually they are much too high, million polygons. You say, oh my God, everything below 200,000 is getting too big. I mean, if the model itself is 100 megabyte, and we talking about the limitation, well, the developers talking about 500 megabytes, but I would say 200 to 200 plus is a good average that it still can be run, sometimes on a smartphone, sometimes not. And so far, you really have to be technically a little bit more nerdy about how to get things smaller. And as I also showed around, and that will be the last one just for the summary of yesterday's session, about the Borobudur. We can also go to the Borobudur. We have a menu here that also gives us quick access. We can go, either we click on the temple or we click here on the menu. I don't know, does it display anything? No, I think I click directly and then it loads Borobudur. And then we can walk inside Borobudur, like if we would be in Jogja and go in there in the morning and experience how the sun is going up. As this is a prototype, there's no displays now in the Borobudur. It's just a blank 3D model where we just wanted to prove how it feels when you walk inside Borobudur yourself. And yeah, sometimes you see loading time can be a little bit annoying. But you see here, after everything is loaded, you can really go inside there, and even the texture mapping is a little bit low now because it's repeating. It's not the original, but we have an expert, Professor Dr. Titus Lever, is a former colleague of mine from Cologne University, and he spent 4 years in Thailand recording the Thai Palace in a big production. Then he was living 4 years in Indonesia, and he recorded all 2,800 reliefs of Borobudur in 4 different times of the year. So the best lighting for all of these reliefs he had took on pictures, so we can work with this database in future. So that will also be part of our museum, so that you can go in and learn really about every picture. What is the story behind? He carefully did the research in the Sanskrit and took out all the stories, so that what I'm doing here very fast is just going up to the top and showing you, yeah, okay, that's really getting close to something, how it feels when you're on Borobudur. Just with less people, that's the difference. Unless you're meeting there. Okay, so that's actually a short overview about our museum. And now I want to show you something I have done with some students last semester, because we captured, or we rebuilt the library of our campus in Braunschweig. And we took off the walls to give this space a new perspective as an exhibition hall, because usually it has walls around it. Maybe I forgot, maybe I can quickly open a picture about HBK. Let's see that we find the right picture, or we have, of course this is the homepage, but not the picture I'm looking for. It looks better. It looks better. I search for HBK, German word is Bücherei. So I'm looking for some pictures so that you get an understanding. Yeah, from outside it looks like this, and when it's enlightened in the nighttime, it really, it's a cube in a cube. And what we see in our presentation is that we just have taken this, oh, sorry, again, same mistake like before. There is another tab here. So we took off the walls, but it's a cube in a cube, actually, basically, and we just said, okay, there is no wall holding this space, but we just allow ourselves to, for a more free interpretation of the space. And you can also look outside and you see a little bit of the environment. Actually, it looks a little bit, it looks a little bit a very low resolution, and that's because we took an opportunity with a drone, with a former student, and we took a photogrammetry of the space. And because the data is so big, and this was also a forest tribe, we reduced the geometry. And the funny thing is, while we put our library into this model, that you have accurate geometry and rendering inside and outside, it's more like a dystopian something, where I think, oh my God, is this? But it's more an artsy interpretation, where I said, okay, why not? It looks crazy, because if we go back inside, oops, there I'm get stuck. Okay, I have to find another entry. Oops. So, and here we are, and everything is nice. So it's a little bit like a Matrix feeling, especially when we go here in the basement. And I will show a little bit later what it's all about. So if we go here in the basement, you think, oh my God, what is this, the underworld, or what is this? So actually, it's a more free art piece. I did the environment, and the students did fill up with their classes the content. Because if we go upstairs, and this is all built in Blender, yeah, so to navigate around, and here we have a poll. People can also choose, I want to see it in VR, please make it accessible, blah, 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 so basic. Oh, no, this is from another demo. I forgot to delete this, so maybe I better go inside and delete this one. So that is it the right one? Wait. Not that, no, this is the wrong one. Not that I'm deleting the wrong. These are some problems. If sometimes you cannot really get the thing that you want to delete, so you have to look for polls. Here we are. This is the one. I want to delete this poll. Yes. Okay, gone. Our open house day, and they invite, the building is cut into different scenes so that the loading amount is smaller per level. And once we are inside, you see we have here done a 360-degree video, and what you see in the front, the grid, is just a grid I installed for easier calculating on the dimension where to position the things. Also, the walls are not yet replaced by the real walls with shadows and occlusion mapping, but they give a better orientation. So every square is about 10 centimeters in real space, because what you need is a relation of size. How you put up a layout in a 3D space means you have a grid. And as we transfer the grids, or I transferred the grids from Figma, I don't know, you're working with Figma, a few of you? So Figma is the best tool actually for the last few years. Yeah, but you can also use it for layout and for vector design and all kinds of things, because even the size is getting smaller and much faster to get the things. So actually the students put their work here on the walls, and then I would replace the 3D model with the real final walls, but I got stuck a little bit at the end of semester. So, and because it was a first project for the students, every image of course can also be enlarged, etc., etc. Let's go up and see maybe some more work. Oh wait, work of the other levels. So this way we wanted to give people, oh yeah, okay, now we're going back to illustration. So this is still some things we have to work out because it can get a little bit time consuming. And as we don't have the fast menu now to go all the levels, because people get stuck in the work. So typography, yeah, they did not participate. So I said, yeah, why are you not putting in your typography work? Maybe we have to do this by the end of semester. And there's only one thing like that. And you also have your talk zone. So if you want to have a talk, now it's green because I'm in. If I'm going out, it's getting blue. So if you're inside this, because what I forgot to do is show you, we have a microphone and can speak to someone. We can put on our webcam, and then my camera image is here in the corner, like in the screening in the museum, in the enlarged picture. You can also display your personal picture beside your avatar. So if somebody else would be in there, and that would be the thing if you guys would have looked for the software today and use your smartphone, we can meet each other here as a group inside, and everyone puts on his camera, maybe not too much, like in Zoom. I mean, 300 video streams is a burden that cannot be handled, of course, not even in this software. But you see your people, you see your group, and when I did a teaching in this space for 2 semesters, of course, I always asked the students to switch on their cameras. It was also a good tool during COVID, and the experience was that people after 1 semester they feel really homey. They put their own skeptical about, this is synthetic, but then it's fun because you also take your personal behaviors inside. If there's a because it feels unnatural, you know, you never go so close to your avatar that you think, oh my God, I'm so close to kind of normal. You stop thinking in dimensions. Wall. And the students have a space upstairs where they put their work, and we're discussing about the concept. Bless you. We're talking about the concept, how they can make a better exhibition for it, that things can be read. Yeah, one more time. I'm joking. Okay. So here we have also some creations in the graphic design where they put some book stuff together and make stuff more accessible in a meaningful way. Because if you cannot really switch the pages on a brochure, but you put it in a small video, you get a better understanding what the work is all about. And so finding appropriate ways of presentation and having the grid in the background, as I said, we put this kind of one square is like 10 centimeters. So actually this is almost 80 centimeters in height, so in relation to a real desk. So like something, like it's almost the size. But it gives a good representation because I look downwards with my avatar. Yeah, I always have to consider what the person is able, how much freedom does the person have to look down. So if the person looking down, actually, I can only see this if I have 2 avatars, and if I please the avatar, please look down, and you see, it's not this opening and this approach with the big sculptures. So defining space becomes hang them or just put them in space and don't care about walls. Hang them or just put them in space and don't care about walls, because physically we don't need support by real fixation of things. And this one is, what is it? Photography. Yeah. Here's the photography class in this level. Yeah, same thing. I have to replace the walls. They all have different kinds of how they put their images in, and on top we have a few samples of what people have done in my class. It's not finished yet. It's a lot of work, and we also at the beginning, and you need a lot of precision to put all these things in the right context all together. And in this case, we put the 3D model that you've seen outside, we put this inside in a smaller scale, so you can easily also walk inside, and that's something we also have in mind for the exhibition in the future for our museum, that we maybe have some photogrammetric models where you want to give the people they are standing inside the site, inside the landscape, inside the village, while it was recorded in this way. And we also from one of the work that one of my students has done VR, there's one of the 3D models he used in his experience. So we just imported it. It actually has no function in here, but it's just kind of a example that you can also have very sophisticated 3D models inside, and that is his work. Actually his bachelor work, Painted Worlds VR, where he took his own paintings and tried to transform the illustration style and put this in algorithm in Unreal to create landscape that look like his painting, but you can walk inside his paintings. And so it was 4 different stories all connected, and he's also a fabulous storyteller, recorded with his own voice the narratives, and a pretty nice work. So actually doing a portfolio without such a thing is you have an exhibition downstairs, but imagine you just recreate your building and do something in the virtual space that can even exist longer than the real physical exhibition, and maybe after 10 years you can display 20 different exhibitions of former works. It's a good reference for new students to see what has been done at your campus. So that was a short overview what we recently did. Time is running, so I haven't yet showed anything about creating assets. Okay, that's the aircon, I think. What we can do is just show you how easy it is. You click here on an asset, it's locked, and I can duplicate the asset in order to not just ruin the layout as it is like now. So I lock it, I lock the original. Let's make sure this one, oops, I clicked on the model. I think this one is now loose. Yep. Or was it the other one? This one is, sometimes I have to get closer to catch the right one. Yeah. This one is in front and is correct. Is locked, and this is unlocked. Okay. Because that is something you have to be tidy and precise. 3D is not a place to mess around, because you can get lost pretty fast. That's one of the things I have to say for people who are just here and there, and suddenly you mess up the space and you don't have the orientation anymore. As you can see, I can move around the images pretty easily. I can define the position also with digits. I can rotate the objects. I can scale them up and down. I also have some other opportunities to do the scaling, and this immediately affects here the settings. I can use a magnificent glass, which is not such a nice feature, but I can also rotate the things like this and maybe bring it down a little bit so I can go closer with my avatar to the image. Oops, see, you always have to get a little bit more fidelity with your fingers to use the keyboard. The WASD keys are the main keys for navigation. You can also rotate and do other things. Well, actually, you can make things zoomable, as you have seen before. I click on the thing, I got the option to zoom in. Of course, to a certain extent, if you have small typography, you maybe cannot read it. But you can also spin the objects and, spin objects, whether it makes sense in this case or not. There are a lot of options per set, even for audio, video. But I don't know how large this poster is. We can make it downloadable, and I will download it. So let me see how large it is. We downloaded it, and then I look in my download folder in order to see. This one is, oh, it's already very small. Let me think, do we have a poster? Yeah, that was a very big poster, I think. This poster is about, it's already small, 1.7. This is already the small version, and this is the smaller version. Oh my god. Do we have anything that we can quickly use in here? The flyer PNG. The flyer PNG, I think this is a big one. Oh my god. Let me see. Yeah, that's 21 megabytes. That's much too big. For the virtual reality, everything should be like, yeah, smaller than 500 kilobyte. So half a megabyte is okay. Is okay. So this one is a large poster. Maybe let's see as an example. I think. All right, put it down already because I opened this in Photoshop and made it smaller. Maybe we do this one more time. Open this in Photoshop. Oh, it's still open. Okay. I think this one is already, yeah, I made it a little smaller already because it was like, I think 20,000 pixels or something. Now it's about 7,000. And if we just save this, save this in the download folder, flyer final. Let's say we call it just flyer final test. And I think it's a PNG, but it should be a JPEG. Sorry. I must say multitasking. I must say export as JPEG. That's what I want to do. Let's do it high resolution so we get a little larger document. Export final test. Okay, so, and now let's see how large is it. I have a good example at least. So it's 4.3 megabytes, still too large. That's what I wanted looking for. So maybe anybody heard about the software Squoosh? Raise your hand, please. Squoosh. Anybody know Squoosh? Nobody. Squoosh didn't make it to Indonesia yet. Are you kidding me? It's not whoosh, okay? It's not whoosh, but with the same effect. Squoosh. It makes it really makes the whole thing smaller. And the good thing is free, and you can use it in a web browser. So if we open our document, of course you can also use other compressing software, but I find it so convenient and fast in access, and you see the result immediately and have an idea how large will it be when I use it in the VR contest. So you see the resolution 100%. It's definitely too large for a screen, even here to get a good overview. But we leave it in the sizing because the sizing was, as we say, if we would resize it, it has still 3,000, almost 4,000 by 7,000 pixels. And as you remember, our hall is like 8 meters, 8,000 pixels. So 7 is just 1 meter less. So the space above and below, that's fine. That's why I choose this size. But said, 4 megabyte is too big. And even if the standard compression of 75% shortage ends up in 1.1 megabyte. The original on the left side, you see on the left side, and with this slider you can see if you zoom into 100%. As I said before, you see, okay, let's see, go for the pictures. Okay, how is this gentleman here affected by compression? I can't see much. Now I'm at 300%. Minor changes. It's still okay, but we're saving already 74%. But we can go further because we can change here the quality, and let's say we go to 50. Let's go 50. So let's see how much we save then. Oh, we're below 1 megabyte already. And because there's a lot of white space, I assume this left side is original, right side now. Can you see much difference in the hair maybe? Come on, that's good. So let's go down to 25. 500, half a megabyte. That's okay. That's affecting it a little bit. Okay, maybe I think I have chosen something like 800 or something before, so I can quickly go to the amount of compression where I'm happy with, and this way I have a control over the size. And the good thing is you can also use it for PNG. PNG is usually, because of the transparent layer, much larger, but the Oxy PNG compressor is giving pretty good results. Unfortunately, I haven't yet prepared any. We could have taken the, let's see, can we download the logo? Yeah, maybe that's a good example. Just give me a second. I have to go to, is it still open? I think yes, it's still open. Okay, we go back quickly, disconnected. That's why the menu is not showing up. Nah. Yeah, because we had this hiccup before. So let me just quickly go back to MooMine main, because then I can demonstrate how we can compress a logo, which is a PNG logo, and have this IMVR in it. And that maybe gives us a good reference to see how we can save megabytes, but on the other side, where are the limitations? And that's why we always have to find compromises. So, because I put the little trick in here, so because the starting logo is, where do I have the, oh, it's not fully loaded. Hopefully we don't have another hiccup. Okay, this is actually, you might recognize the surrounding panorama picture. Do you? Come on, it's when we can start walking. Can you recognize what it is? What do you see here in the back? Any clues? Anybody? Raise your hand. What do you see here in the back? Maybe I give you a little bit more hint. We go into flight mode now. That's another feature. But we have to switch between first and third camera. And now we're flying up. Hello. Ooh. Do you now slowly... So let's go back, and here we try to simulate also some I put the little nice logo in here. It's much bigger when it comes from fixed with, and we here. Now we go back to Scoosh. So we close this one. Oh yeah, I exported the wrong one. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. I was having the wrong export. Yeah, sorry. Things can happen if multitasking. So MooMine _test PNG in downloads. There it is. Oh yeah, I took the circle by mistake. Okay. Here we are. Here we are. It's already. What? Oh, we can take this 100. It was just, it takes the settings from before. Sorry for the, yeah, I'm not focused to the point. MooMine test. Here we go. So really small, but we can get it smaller with Scoosh, and that's what I wanted to demonstrate. Right? So we open this. Of course, if it comes as a JPEG, then everything which is transparent is getting 918. And now it's interesting, because if you take the automatic resolution, find the quality like this, there's a trick. You reduce the color palette in PNG's colors. So actually, as we see the colors being used, is not such a high range in the colors. So you can easily say, let's say we use 16 to 30 already have. So 3 times, 96 colors, 23. And we zoom in as a PNG. Let's say we go down to, let's see how much we can save. This time it always depends on the mode type. Sometimes it's more efficient, sometimes it's below that, but I mean, coming from 1 megabyte to 1/4, 250 for a PNG is a good thing. Okay, here you see, you have to look at this on 100% what it is. If you see any high resolution, say is if you do this process in Photoshop or in any other compressor, it's a back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you have the proper scaling. And with this tool, Squoosh, write it down. You're very efficient in order to squeeze down the data so that the whole. The last thing that just by seeing something from here in Sketchfab, that is the work from NIAS, Universität Berlin, Free University of Berlin. They went on different field trips to NIAS already 3 years ago, and they have recorded this with high-end drones. They have a cut of the model, and as you can see, we see the same quality, that we have a feeling for the environment, that there's probably a river here down. You can see it from the surface, some spots inside. That's done actually with Sketchfab, but you need a kind of relation that you get the immersive feeling being inside. So if imagine you're walking now the waterbed with your avatar here inside, and you pretty much, if we can simulate it, you can walk through this environment. And these buildings, they have recorded with higher resolution. So if we click on the number, then we see here the statues that they found, and even the statues is embedded in a higher quality in the lower quality model. But of course, in this way, we have to navigate here always with our mouse and go. Thought, how would it be if you can visit, make it accessible, and give the people a feeling, wow, this is the place where these things were put together, and we wanted to give proper multimedia. Let's think about Taman Mini, yeah, in Jakarta. I mean, they're trying to do something like this, but I don't know on what scientific level their work actually is based. There's a lot of entertainment, you know, for the families. And sometimes if you go to Western Museum in the South or something, no, but we have only 30 minutes, but the content is maybe like 4 hours. It's all interesting. With the internet, you can come back, your teacher can give lessons or even homework and say, please find the sculpture who was built up in 1533 and has a very important meaning for the village. So the students got homework, and at home they can visit the museum and go there on a journey, either they, right? Because it's just our brain. He's not dying, no, this ship is unreal, it's just a good. Then we have no fun. We have to get adapted to the situation and allow ourselves to enjoy what other people have prepared. If we always criticize this, that's it's not real, it's not good enough. Then hey, read a book. How many pictures you have in the book in a novel? None. It's the image are creating in your brain. So this is a helping tool to extend that and maybe get people also a little bit off from TikTok to to have a real exploration about history and stories and knowledge and learning from the past for a better future. And even there are more topics to talk about. I hope this was giving you a little bit an overview what we could do with nowadays technology, what I couldn't imagine when I was a student and working with floppy disk on an Amiga. And I hope it was a little bit entertaining, not too boring for you. And thank anybody. I'm here.
Biaya mahal, dan tentu saja ini juga sudah beberapa mahasiswa menggunakan teknologi VR, virtual reality itu untuk penciptaan skripsinya, ya, jadi bisa ke sana arahnya. Bagi yang next session.
Several questions for you, is that okay?
Yes, of course, they do.
Firstly, I'd like to know how long this project this professor take to make it finish, and what is the hardest step of this project? And also, lastly, maybe it's kind of out of topic, but I'd like to know, have you, professor, ever talked about putting Museum Maya Indonesia into some online games like Roblox or Minecraft? people to get know better.
We cannot just use like a mandala to set this up for the main hall. Actually, it is a prototype yet. It's not yet a main hall. Actually, it is a prototype yet. It's not yet finished. So it just shows the opportunities that we can do. And we wanted to work with it finished. So it just shows the opportunities that we can do. And we wanted to work with a software that is more open, that we have better control. The software that is more open, that we have better control. In terms of marketing, of course, Roblox has something. It's just a question of proper marketing and how establish something that comes from different system and gives more opportunities also to be used with glasses and on a smartphone and all these issues probably in Roblox are solved in a way, but the quality is not sufficient for me for my 3 years because there's another technology. So we want to establish a standard. We also want to implement, for instance, a museum shop where people who carving things or shop, if they create replicas of things, please don't sell the originals like it happened before, and because these artifacts are gone forever. And that's why the Pastor Johannes Enias, when he came in 1971, he bought the stuff. I said, I'm not selling it abroad, I keep it here. And now they built up the museum on his collection, actually, because the people were so poor in Nias and they sold everything just to get some money. So if you're selling your own soul, so to speak, your foundation, then it's gone forever. And to get all the people together we need for this enterprise, because good arguments to do this. Today I showed you just a little thing, because if we would have more time, we could have looked at other galleries of other people. We just saw 2, 3 galleries today, but I have seen, and that would be another section, just analyzing other people's 3D galleries, seeing the quality. You walk there and it looked like a puzzle. Is this the definition of space? I'm feeling not very cozy in here. So that means creation of meaningful space is also a topic that you give the feeling, because we try to implement as much as possible together, and finding the right people in Indonesia to collaborate with, and because we are just 3 people, we are not 5 to 10 years of 50, 100 people if this thing is really getting bigger. And to avoid having a large enterprise with a lot of fixed cost, we want to put it aided by another team. And here is my call for the future of participation and collaboration. Where's your team? Yeah, okay. Okay, you left too early. Anyway, we'll have to talk later, because we could think about collaboration with other universities, give some special lectures and see what are your most creative students who want to collaborate with us, either as a 3D designer or as a scene designer or something, or going on the production side with a team who's filming, photographing, using drones, interviewing oral witnesses at a certain time, because it's a large activity. Like in a film production, you need a large team, and only if we have more experience how many people we need per subject, that might vary, then we can do a proper calculation and offer this to companies, maybe if they are looking where to spend their CSR budget, or telecom companies, or other museums collaboration, or private collectors, where people are willing to pay 10,000 rupees for 2 hours entertaining in the museum, showing artifacts with that. I mean, this is living history in a way, and could become a big theme maybe in the future. And that answers hopefully a little bit the second question. There is no one thing that's the most difficult, and how long it took us. Well, we were only 3 people, and we were only working from time to time on that. We started 2 years ago. First thing was develop, I think I did nothing. I have another room prepared, but technology-wise, Uli and I were not aware about Blender that much, so we had to spend about 2 months getting familiar with Blender. And maybe took me now more and more.
The next question.
The virtual nature of online art exhibition limits the viewer's experience and understanding of the artwork compared to physical.
Thanks very much. Well, we hadn't done research about that, but we have an article. Where can I show it? Yeah, I have it here. I'll show it in a second, where we just tested the museum with kids and of a I think about fine. It is parallel and it depends really of parallel and it depends really of what extra information you put inside. I don't know whether it's always relevant to have the physical artwork in front of you. Because if you see what you see and you can go closer and it has a high resolution and you have the context, let's say we have an opening party of a gallery inside and there are many people, someone is giving a speech, then you can have individual talks, we can have talk corners where only the people who are present in the space can hear anything, but that's the environment. So perceiving art and talking about art and seeing an installation. Let's say we're talking about 3D installation of an object. It might be different. Have you seen the they're original. We do try to put substitutes for cultural artifacts because it's difficult to transport them, difficult to, preserve them, etc. And photogrammetry helps in three-dimensional objects, but flat objects, you take a picture from the front, whether you scan it, and it's about as I said, it's like with the movies. You're not in the movie, but it's a real crime thriller, these factors, and you're in. And I think the same if you have kind of a reflection towards art. Of course, if you're in the space, you breathe the air. So I think it's not a substitute. Installation inside the virtual space that makes it meaningful to us. They think, you would say, no, it's not good enough and that's why we don't allow it. Said, come on, it's side by side. We have diversity also in representation of art.
Pendek saja ya pertanyaannya, ini 5 menit lagi.
Alright, after learning about historical types, culture, and their correlation with technology, I wonder if those historical types then visitors from ever visiting and use virtual reality sets to view the place or items in order to preserve said objects.
Okay, also another great question. Thank you. There are some spots in the world, like in Egypt, to the burials of the kings, because they suffering from the presentation. At least gives scholars the opportunity to understand feeling for space. Burials of the king. The oldest cave paintings in the world in Sulawesi. Heard 51,000 years old, older than the caves in France. Actually, some history books have to be rewritten because that's a proof of that human beings have been there earlier. And these cave paintings, actually, the first storytelling ever. I mean, we're also in contact with these people, and these cave paintings suffering from close by a cement fabrication. So humidity and pollution in the air is harming the cave painting. So it's a question of time when they disappear. What you want to do to preserve it for the next generation. So from visiting, that was one of the demands from NIAS. They said, Ego, we don't want just the people see it in the world and nobody's coming here, because we need more support. We need more financial support to really archive or storing the new store of all 6,000 sculptures they have. They are not on display. I've seen that. But the other thing is also economically wise. Go to some kampung villages in Lhasa, in Aceh, in, I don't know, Maluku, or wherever, and go to school class and say, hey, let's go to the museum in Jakarta. Who can afford the ticket? No one, even the teacher, probably. So if these people are cut off the knowledge just because they don't have the budget, go to a museum in a larger city. How many museums we have in Indonesia? I put the question on yesterday. You know how many museums we have in Indonesia? 450, kira-kira. So it's not a lot. And you go to some museum, you see a stone there, and that no script, no nameplate. What is coming from? What I can learn here? Not much. You see just some old stones. Oh, maybe fake. We don't know. So you know, I mean, I'm a little bit provocative. On afford to go to the museum. We bring the museum to the island this way, and this is a meaningful use of digital tools we have. Digital society and the establishing of trust and transparency as a prerequisite to make a digital society happening. And I think this kind of dealing with cultural heritage, also establishing trust and empathy benefits. And the other one is that even many different ways. It's not that we want to represent to avoid getting people out of their homes, but some people cannot afford to go there. That is for us also meaningful, because Indonesian, as the fourth largest population with 283 million, is the fuel actually for prosperity in the future, create a better future, because they learn from the past, and togetherness is also, as I said before, it's a social glue, it's a currency. If you don't have social togetherness and understanding, as a community, you can always grow beyond the individual on a small island. What is your perspective? Thank you for the, and that suddenly
sudah bisa digital, internet pioneer.
Yeah. I have not invented the internet, but I
juga perkembangan teknologi yang direspon terus oleh beliau. Nah, ini saya harapkan para peserta bisa mengambil dan banyak hal, menginformasikan pengetahuan di situ, ya, transfer ilmu itu tidak harus selalu di kelas, termasuk proyek-proyeknya di HBK.
So you find it on Wikipedia. It's a crime thriller story, fiction about Berlin, I done in the 90s.
Ya, ini Berlin Connection, karya beliau. Beliau juga membuat film, animasi, dan memperoleh banyak penghargaan. Ya. Demikian saya kira kita bisa akhiri sesi kuliah umum dari Pak Eko ini. Vielen Dank today. We hope
again, thank you very much for the invitation. It was a good pleasure to have such a large audience, and I hope you find it not too. My students in Germany will go another way than me, but I'm here and I'm available, and maybe we can also find another way teaching some of your students in one or the other thing in a compact workshop or something like that. Or, as I said, we are also looking for talented designers and teachers who can collaborate with our museum project. So, terima kasih banyak untuk semuanya dan listening my speech, and I hope to see you in another in the future in another session or in another context. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you banyak. Terima kasih. Ya, dengan ini kita tutup acara hari ini dengan ucapan hamdalah. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Kembalikan ke MC, silakan MC.
Give a round of applause again.
Sebagai penutup dari kuliah umum yang telah kita jalani bersama hari ini, izinkan saya menyampaikan beberapa poin penting yang telah kami bahas. Pertama-tama, kami telah menggali berbagai tema yang relevan dan menarik tentang the production of VR asset. Setiap informasi dan pengetahuan yang kita peroleh hari ini adalah langkah awal untuk menjelajahi lebih dalam tentang teknologi digital. Mari kita terus berusaha untuk belajar, baik mulai diskusi, penelitian maupun pengalaman pribadi.
As we've come to the end of the public lecture today, let me mention some important points that we have discussed. First of all, we've explored various relevant and interesting themes about VR asset production, especially about the tie bond between culture, tradition, technology, and art, which not only provide new insight, but also challenges to think critically and creatively. Learning process cannot just stop easily. The information and knowledge we gain today is the first step to explore deeper into it. Let's continue to learn from all resources possible, like discuss, research, or even experience in digital media.
Selanjutnya, mari kita terapkan apa yang telah kita pelajari dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Pengetahuan tanpa tindakan tidak akan membawa perubahan. Oleh karena itu, saya mendorong setiap dari kita untuk mengambil langkah nyata dalam menerapkan ide-ide yang telah dibahas.
Second, let's apply what we have learned here in our daily lives. Knowledge without action will bring no change. Therefore, we encourage each of you to take real steps in implementing the ideas that have been discussed. I would like to thank the speaker for the amazing presentation, new knowledge and experience. I would also thank to the committee, lecturer, and all parties who have contributed to make this event run smoothly.
Kami juga ingin berterima kasih kepada para pembicara yang telah berbagi pengetahuan dan pengalaman mereka dengan penuh semangat. Terima kasih pula kepada panitia penyelenggara dan semua pihak-pihak yang telah berkontribusi dalam kelancaran hari ini.
Finally, we hope that this public lecture can be an inspiration to continue to work and contribute positively to society. Let's keep on collaborating and supporting each other in achieving goal.
Akhir kata, semoga kuliah umum ini dapat menjadi inspirasi bagi kita semua untuk terus berkarya, berkontribusi positif bagi masyarakat. Mari kita juga bersemangat kolaborasi dan saling mendukung dalam mencapai tujuan bersama-sama.
Thank you for your attention and see you in the next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selanjutnya mungkin ada sesi dokumentasi oleh tim dokumentasi, kami persilakan. Nanti foto bersama.
Sesi foto bersama dulu, jangan dulu bubar. Jadi nanti kami di sini atau di bawah, ya. Fotografer siap? Perlu turun atau di sini?